Alright, Seahawks Nation, this is when Super Bowl week stops being fun and starts being serious. If you're a real Seahawks fan, the kind that believes this team is finishing the job, you need to stay locked in right now. What's up, Seahawks family? Victor here, and today we're talking about two huge developments that could decide whether Seattle lifts its second Lombardi or watches the season turn on a few critical details. One story involves health, availability, and thin margins. The other involves power, influence, and the very real possibility of change the moment this season ends. Let's start with the injury report, because this is where championships are won and lost. The Seahawks just released their first official Super Bowl practice report, and it's a true mix of good news and red flags. One defensive leader, a guy who just led the team in tackles in the NFC Championship run, is trending in the right direction after moving from non-participation to limited work. That's huge for a defense built on speed, communication, and physicality in the middle. But here's the part that should make every 12 nervous. A cornerstone of the offensive line didn't practice. Neither did a key tight end, nor a depth tackle. And when your protection on the blind side is dealing with lingering issues this close to kickoff, that's not rest. That's something to monitor closely. Add in the fact that the quarterback is still listed as limited, along with multiple offensive and defensive contributors, and suddenly Super Bowl preparation becomes a medical balancing act. Seattle has time to heal, but the Super Bowl doesn't forgive mistakes. One missed assignment, one player at 90%, and everything changes. Now here's where it gets even more complicated. While players are fighting to get healthy, a key architect behind this historic offense is being courted hard by another franchise. Second interviews are happening, and teams don't do that unless they're serious. This is the mind that helped Seattle finish top 3 in scoring, break a franchise record in points/sacks allowed by nearly half, and elevate the run game from the bottom of the league into the top tier. And if this coach leaves, he might not go alone. There are already whispers that several players, including explosive skill position guys, core starters, and high-upside defenders, could follow him if the opportunity presents itself. Familiar system, familiar voice. Big contracts waiting. So here we are, Seahawks fans. 1 week away from the Super Bowl. Injury concerns that can't be ignored. And the very real possibility that success might come with a price the moment the confetti hits the ground. We're breaking it all down today, what the injury report really tells us, which situations are truly concerning, how this affects the game plan, and which Seahawks could be playing somewhere else next season if the coaching dominoes fall. Before we dive in, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to Seahawks Nation Update, and only hit that subscribe button if you're a true fan, someone who trusts this team, believes in this run, and knows the Seahawks are winning the Super Bowl. Super Bowl week is here. Pressure is real. Let's get into it. Alright, Seahawks Nation. Super Bowl week is officially here, and the first injury report just dropped. And yeah, it's a mixed bag. There's good news, there's bad news. And there are a few names we need to keep a close eye on before February 8th. Alright, let's get into it. Setting the stage, Super Bowl prep begins. The Seahawks officially hit the practice field as preparations begin for the New England Patriots. After that 31-27 win over the Rams, Seattle enters the Super Bowl as significant favorites, but we all know how this works. Health matters, timing matters, and depth matters. Both teams are banged up, and the first injury report gives us a clearer picture of where Seattle stands. The bad news, DNPs to watch. Let's start with the concerning part. 3 Seahawks were listed as did not participate in Thursday's walkthrough. Charles Cross, foot; Eric Saubert, hamstring; Amari Kitney. Now, let's break these down one by one. Charles Cross, the big one. This is the one that jumps off the page. Charles Cross is still dealing with a foot injury, and anytime your star left tackle is missing practice during Super Bowl prep, you pay attention. This could be precautionary. It could be medical management. But protecting Sam Darnold's blindside against the Patriots is non-negotiable. Seattle needs Cross, period. Eric Saubert. Quietly concerning Saubert's hamstring injury is interesting because it kind of came out of nowhere. Hamstrings are tricky, they linger, and for a tight end who blocks and runs routes in traffic, that's something to monitor closely. Not panic, but definitely monitor. Amari Kite, no surprise. Kite missed the Rams game with a knee injury and remains out. This one isn't shocking, but it does impact offensive line depth, something you always want in a Super Bowl. The good news, Ernest Jones trending up. Now let's talk about the best news on the report. Ernest Jones moved from a hypothetical DNP earlier in the week to limited on Thursday with a chest injury. And remember, he led the team with 8 tackles against the Rams. He finished the game. He didn't visibly struggle. This feels more like soreness than something structural. Still, Jones is the heartbeat of the defense, so Seattle will absolutely manage his reps carefully. The full limited list depth matters. Seattle still has 7 players limited, and this is where depth becomes crucial. Offense limited: Sam Darnold, oblique; Jake Bobo hand; Josh Jones ankle foot; Brady Russell hand; Robbie Alst's neck. Defense limited: Julian Love shoulder; Drake Thomas shoulder. None of these scream red alert, but Super Bowls are won on margins, and getting these guys closer to 100% matters. One more name: Chaz Surratt. Linebacker Chaz Surratt ankle is a full participant, which is encouraging. He hasn't played since week 12, but having him available adds depth and flexibility, especially if Jones or Thomas need limited snaps. Clint Kubiak might become the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and if that happens, he might not be going alone. There are 4 Seahawks players who could realistically follow him to Vegas, and some of these names are big. Before we break it all down, smash that like button if you believe the Seahawks are winning the Super Bowl, and subscribe to the channel if you trust this front office to keep this roster elite. Alright, let's get into it. The Kubiak effect, why this matters. Clint Kubiak is one of the hottest coaching candidates in the NFL right now. First year as Seahawks OC, 3rd in the NFL in scoring 28.4 PPG franchise record, 483 points, massive improvement in the run game and pass protection. If he lands the Raiders job replacing former Seahawks coach Pete Carroll, ironically, Vegas will likely wait until after the Super Bowl to make it official. And when a young head coach takes over, he wants familiar players. Players who know the system. Players he trusts. That's where this gets interesting. Let's start with the obvious one, Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed has been a game changer since arriving in Seattle. Explosive speed, deep threat, arguably the best kick and punt returner in the NFL. And here's the connection people forget. Shaheed played for the Saints in 2024 when Kubiak was the offensive coordinator there. They already know each other. They already trust each other. Vegas needs speed. Vegas needs weapons. And Shaheed would be a perfect fit for Kubiak's offense. This is the one that scares me the most. Now here's a sneaky one. Derek Young. He's not a stat monster. He's not a fantasy football star. But Kubiak loves guys like this. Big body speed, excellent blocker, core special teams player when Seattle kept Young, Jake Bobo, and Cody White on the Week 1 roster. That told you everything you needed to know about the offensive identity. Kubiak wants to run the football, and receivers who block matter. Plus, Young is a great locker room presence, reliable on special teams. If Kubiak is trying to reset culture in Vegas, Young makes a ton of sense. This one is huge. Kenneth Walker 3. Let's not forget, 2025 was his best and healthiest season. Perfect fit in Kubiak's zone run scheme, comfortable in a running back rotation, and here's the problem for Seattle. Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL in the playoffs. If Walker leaves in free agency, the Seahawks suddenly have no top-tier running backs. The Raiders could pair Walker with Ashton Ginty, recreating the same 1-2 punch Seattle used so effectively. Running backs don't always get paid, but it only takes one aggressive team, and Vegas has the cap space. This one might surprise people. Rick Woolen. Yes, Kubiak is an offensive coach, but a new head coach still needs help on defense. The Raiders already have Max Crosby, but they desperately need a shutdown corner size and speed on the outside. Someone who can erase receivers. Woolen checks all those boxes. Is he perfect? No. Consistency issues, emotional control, but when he's locked in, he's one of the most athletic cornerbacks in the NFL. If Woolen hits free agency and Vegas throws a big offer, that's a real threat. My honest take as a fan, here's the reality. Seahawks Nation, this is the cost of success. When you go to the Super Bowl, coaches get poached, players get paid, and tough decisions follow. The key is prioritization. Seattle can't keep everyone, but they can protect the core. Now I want to hear from you, which player would hurt the most to lose to the Raiders? And do you think Kubiak actually ends up in Vegas? Drop your takes in the comments. And don't forget, like this video if you believe, subscribe if you think the Seahawks are built to last one more game, one more chance, and a future worth protecting. Go Hawks!